All right. Welcome, everybody, to our first episode ever of Endless Tangents, the show where we start with a topic and see where we end up. My name is Twiggles, and I'm joined by my awesome co-host,
Zambies.
How are you, Zambies?
I am doing well today. Tired, but maintaining. It is been a long day, a long week, and a long month, it feels like.
I hear you. And I feel like we're just getting started with the new year, and we're already almost at the end of the month. A little bit about us, for those that are tuning in. We are both millennials. We're both either self-diagnosed or formally diagnosed with ADHD. We both have a growth mindset, and we both happen to be boy dads. And we've been good friends for quite a while now. I've actually lost track of years, but we kind of go back to school, going back to college. We had some great times together. Any particular fond memories you want to bring up?
It's interesting that you bring up when we first met, because I think we were very different people in college. Yeah, and
absolutely.
We met through mutual friends, through living in different, like I was living on campus and you were
coincidentally just through proximity. We ended up crossing paths. Absolutely.
But we hung out for a bit, but we didn't really solidify our bond and friendship until that fateful summer, where I was attending summer school to get ahead.
As was I.
And you and I bonded over Chinese food.
We sure did. You loved your chicken egg foo young. I don't think I ever actually had it once, but you consumed so many eggs that summer.
I think I was ordering chicken egg foo young. Well, just to be clear, so I was living on campus, and Twiggles would come and hang out in our dorm room with me and one of our friends, and he had I
had some relatives and friends that were basically running a Chinese takeout place, so I kind of grew up with it. I love my specialty order, if you know, was chicken and brown sauce. It was just delicious. Mm-hmm. Probably not the healthiest for me, but it was my go-to. And
we had a mutual friend who was a vegetarian who ate mushroom egg foo young. And I tried the chicken egg foo young for once, and it was amazing. And I had Twiggles bring me chicken egg foo young like 3 times a week for 12 weeks straight. I probably ate hundreds of eggs.
And it was so strange for me, because growing up, that was just not something I ever ordered.
It was so good.
But you loved it. It was a great time.
Yes.
But absolutely. Yeah, so a little bit more about us. Again, with our growth mindsets, what you're really joining us for is just joining us on this journey of learning to discover ourselves, honestly spending more time together and just failing forward, There's always things that are keeping us up at night. The name and the origin of our podcast really just came from conversations at work, conversations between the both of us, where the tangents literally just felt endless. We really started to wonder, how did we even get here? Which will be a segment for later, right? And the idea came about for I think both of us. Again, it was just kind of uncanny how our lives just continued down the same path. Right?
Yes.
Just very, very close similarities. I think a lot of it was just based on how we are as people and also the road that we chose to take. But there were always these commonalities, even down to our kids, that you can't even, just coincidence or not, it's 50-50. But the joke we always say is, was it really 50-50?
Yeah.
It was almost predestined,
Yeah. And it's interesting from when we first met to how we are getting here. I think, as you mentioned, our lives were different and are so similar. But I think the one constant is that we are constantly embracing change and having that mindset. And I think that was a spark between the two of us to, keep pushing each other forward. Like, like, you want to try this, go for it, and then you push me to do something and I reciprocate, and we end up constantly learning new things, trying out new stuff, good or bad.
And we may be a little bit competitive, which may or may not have been to the detriment of ourselves.
Highly understated. We are extremely competitive. We love the competition, but we also know that we're pushing each other to be better and not.
It's not even about the end goal of winning, 100%.
No.
It's all about the journey together. It's about
Yes.
leveling ourselves up, right? I mean, the world is so many things to discover and learn about ourselves. We're constantly just curious for knowledge, right? And I know um I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy we're kind of launching this idea and being able to share this knowledge with other people, right? And if anything, we hope you learn something and we hope you get to know us a little bit better and keep listening to us.
Yeah, and we realized that one of the reasons we started the podcast was because we realized a lot of our best conversations happen when we're riffing off of each other and trying to figure something out. And
So true.
yeah, so it's
Yeah, we want to basically bring this to others to show how a relationship and a dynamic can evolve over time, even if you don't even know where you're going, right? That actually kind of brings us to our main topic today. For today, what we wanted to really focus on was just we're into the new year. Again, we're already at the end of the month, but some of the things that we were thinking about ourselves was what are some of our personal goals? And even within those personal goals for the year, I mean, we can go into there's going to be many episodes probably referring back to some of our goals and things that we want to accomplish, but more specifically what's been on our mind and keeping us up at night, right? Some
yeah.
of the biggest topics I think that are very relevant and very common for others is that common New Year's resolution of getting fit and being healthy, right? So
A lot of people, myself included, have
me too.
fizzled out by this point. And that's kind of
Yes.
another reason why we waited to start talking about this now, because what we have found is that motivation is fleeting, and
Absolutely.
you can get really hyped up. It's really easy to get hyped up about a goal like I want to get fit, I want a 6-pack abs, I want
to lose some weight,
yeah, and
all the usual.
and you can get started, but it is so easy to fall off the bandwagon,
Absolutely.
the wagon, And
Yeah. I think some of the topics around this, again, specifically for health and sleep. So one of my goals, it's funny, actually on my computer monitor, I have a reminder from some past challenges working with our trainer. Every year we kind of have a New Year's little competition, which is always great. And I have multiple Post-its on my monitor, but the one particular one is to just sleep. Right. I think one of the most important things, you take it for granted, right? I've even heard from friends saying, "Hey, why bother sleeping now? I'll sleep when I'm dead." It's a joke, but also it's unfortunately a harsh reality, right?
yeah,
When we don't take the appropriate time to sleep, we're not giving our bodies a chance to recover, especially as dads now, right?
mm-hmm.
Of course, my kids don't want to go to bed, right? They want to play games. They want to watch TV. They want to do all the fun things. And as adults, I'm no different. That is the reality,
It's also one of the problems today where people are having to take care of their children alone, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, you're a parent, you have kids. That's essentially kind of the whole point. But back in the day, right, you had the village,
The community.
you could offload some of that. And by not having that anymore, you spend time taking care of your kids. By the nighttime, you are exhausted.
Absolutely.
And you have two options. One is you can work out, and two, work out or whatever goal you're trying to obtain, or two, you rebel against the fact that you lost all your time to taking care of other things, chores, cooking, and I guess what's the
Just
word?
physically exhausted.
Oppositional defiance to sleep. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to go to sleep. You want to stay up and have fun.
My sleep procrastination.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. I am good friends with that idea. But yeah, so for me, my goal that I'm going to commit to, which I've been trying to do since last year and actually many years, is really trying to aim for that 7.5 hours. I know there are scientific studies that talk about that each person has a different range, right? There's a special kind of resonating amount that you just need to have. And for me personally, just to share some of my stories, I cut it a little bit too close, right? So some of my personal issues that I have is I was diagnosed with sleep apnea many, many years ago in my 20s. They often say if there's many people, I think nowadays, after having talked to my sleep doctor and learning. So from my experience, this is something I'm very passionate about that I've learned about to share. I've talked to multiple different doctors, and oftentimes they always said, hey, you just got to lose some weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't make sense to me. In my particular case, it turned out that due to my genetics, my heritage, and just how the bone structure in my jaw and my mouth, it led to me not sleeping well, right? And what happened was there was a story around when my second son was born. Um, I couldn't quite figure out what it was. You know, my son was born, I was going back to work, and my whole body was shutting down, right? Couldn't explain it. Went to go check for allergies, went to go check for like heart problems, brain problems, all sorts of things, right? And when I went to my allergist, he said, hey, you know, what was the trigger? I said, you know, the funny thing, it was my son being born. And he laughed. He's like, well, you didn't do anything with the you know, the son being born. So how do you think it was you? But in hindsight, it really was, because what happened was I adjusted my time schedule. I adjusted my work by going into work early, by taking extra time to help around the house, and it was carving into my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I unfortunately hit that breaking point of about 5.5, 6 hours, and my body couldn't tolerate it anymore. I was borderline almost passing out. I was having stress hives. My skin was out of control. You know, I just wasn't feeling great, and I couldn't figure it out. Yet the answer was sleep more.
Sleep more.
You know, kind of curious. You know, I'm sure as again another boy dad, how have your experiences been? I know there's so many factors as being a parent of just daily struggles. You know.
Yeah, with with staying fit and motivation, like I had a problem with sleep as well, and it was more so that our firstborn didn't sleep until midnight, and I would rock him to sleep, and then my wife would take care of him in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
letting her sleep, from like 9 o'clock onwards. And what I noticed was that you just wake up with like, not, I wouldn't say a headache, but just like this, like your brain's not working. Like there's just a fog in the,
kind of like a brain fog. Yeah.
yeah, right in the front of your head. And just everything feels slower. You just feel like you're processing the stuff slower and you need more time with everything. And it was just trying to figure out ways to sleep more. And I think part of, as you mentioned, is like sleep procrastination. I love listening to audiobooks. So I would listen to books at night while with my firstborn. And it became a point where I would sometimes stay up too late, knowing that the baby's asleep, but listening to my books. And that was just eating into time that I could be resting. You take for granted when you're younger too, like the lack of sleep, the impact on you.
You just power through,
Once you hit like 35, 40, 45, like one night of bad sleep, and it's just like you ran into a brick wall.
It's so true. especially the weekends, the weekend hits, you just want to party, stay up late and do whatever you want to do. Go out, have fun, drink and play games, whatever. But then you realize, I was reading and learning from my sleep doctor about it, and that you're essentially intentionally jet lagging yourself if you decide to change your sleep by an hour or two, right? I know when I was younger, the nerdy thing that we used to do is we used to have LAN parties, right? We'd meet up with friends, stay up all weekend. Again, we had some very poor choices, but they were fun nights, right? We'd go out to Taco Bell, get some food, and we would be up all night. And I noticed as I was getting older, I couldn't even make it to the end of the night. I would be like half passed out. Funny story, we were in the middle of gaming and I was just like half asleep. And then all of a sudden someone randomly asked a question and I completely woke up, answered the question, and basically went back to sleep on the couch. It was just couldn't control it, But it's so important to factor in, and especially as you said, we're getting older, right? And the big thing that, reminded me recently was we went on vacation over the winter holidays. And we went on a road trip. And the nice thing about these vacations is I don't have the stresses and anxieties of work. I don't have my computer. right? I have limited things to do, and we're also trapped in a room with our kids. Our kids, we force them to go to bed earlier, and then at that point, it's just time to calm down, right? We dim all the lights, and it's very intentional, right? And what I realized is that knowing that it was a road trip, so I had to drive. I'm the only driver in the family,
Yeah.
right? And I have to be extra cautious. So the only way I could properly prepare is to sleep more.
Yeah.
And I noticed my blood pressure was generally getting better. I was less cranky. I had more patience, right? And you kind of get a taste for what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yet oddly enough, when reality hits and you're back at home and all the things are going on, it's just hard to keep that habit, but you have to be very intentional with it.
Yeah, and one thing I think they've found is that like when you sleep more, it is easier for you to do things. It's easier for you to build motivation, easier for you to build discipline, easier for you to make the choice to exercise. Like your decision-making skills go up. Your ability to execute on those choices, you have the energy. Like sleep is so important for your brain, but also for your body. For like if you're weightlifting, like all your hormones, your testosterone, your growth
Absolutely.
hormone, it's all that stuff happens during sleep. If you cut your sleep cycle short, you're losing out on your gains, right? And
Yeah.
the more you sleep, the more your body can regulate, and it's just a cycle. You sleep more, you're better primed the next day to do something, and then you sleep more, and it just it's a step, one step after another that allows you to slowly move towards your goal.
Yeah, there was a scary story. I think what I find is it's always tough, right? I think for us, especially with this growth mindset, we're focused on learning and absorbing as much as we can. But the reality is, I remember reading a story where you hear all the lessons of people that are older and all their wise tales. We hear it.
Mm-hmm.
We understand it. Do we apply it? Often not, And I remember an explicit story from work, and it was about the scary idea and story of a personal coworker. He was a higher up, so someone who was had been in the company for a while, had risen up the ranks, very responsible and taking care of a lot of things, and he unfortunately had a stroke. And he was very fortunate that his wife and his family were aware of the symptoms and the signs. He was able to immediately get brought to the hospital, and he was fortunately able to have a complete full recovery, which often that isn't the case,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So they were able to timely catch it, provide him the medicine, and he lives to tell the tale. And the interesting fact about him was he lived that life. He lived that life of go, go, go. If there was time in the day for him to do stuff, he was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He was flying around the world, taking care of stuff, business, personal. Someone wants to go climb a mountain, we're going to do it. So he was a physically fit guy. Just the one thing he lacked was appropriate recovery and sleep. And he feels that took its toll on his body and led to those issues with the stroke. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, so obviously we can't prescribe any medical advice, but it was a very compelling story that he talked about. If there was something he can go back in time to try and fix, it would be to try and convince himself how important sleep was, right? And being able to address that time, like you said, to give your kid, yourself the ability to recover. And something that's timely for me, and why I'm so intent on learning as much as I can and really applying it again with our kids. I have, since I've had sleep apnea, the big issue for me was that I was, even though I was diagnosed, I could not find a resolution to it, right? Again, multiple doctors I had seen all said to just go lose weight. And unfortunately, yes, I should lose weight, but the reality is my dad is pretty much skin and bones, and I'm pretty sure he has sleep apnea too. So it was genetic. It's a lot of the way our jaw was developed, and over time, it's this Western diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of knife and fork. It's a lot of softer foods that you're eating. You never really develop your jaw, therefore your airways are just blocked and smaller.
Yeah.
And it was something that I'm passionate about to make sure I don't let that happen to my kids. I feel like as parents, the one thing you want to do is just make life better for your kids, And this is just something that I want to try and focus on. So a lot of it is making sure the kids chew their food more. They not be lazy and eat as much as they can, but then also combined with sleep, right? So we watched some videos and showed it to them. It's like, look, you want to grow taller? The most important thing is you need nutrition, you need to sleep, and you need to move your body.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the other thing, right? If you don't move your body, then your body ends up recognizing, hey, I don't really need to move around, right?
Yeah, and
your brain is pretty smart. It'll adapt.
It adjusts to your new lazy lifestyle.
Lack of mobility. Exactly. Is that really the life that you want to have?
No.
So, yeah.
I mean, knowing the things that we're dealing with, whether it's, sleep or kids or health problems, I guess, how do we get started, right? And, obviously I think sleep is important to help you kind of get that a little extra juice so that you can get started. And we realize like motivation and hype can really help you right in the beginning, but it's a small
can
tank.
Fizzle out fast.
It fizzles out real fast, like a can of soda. It gets flat by a couple hours, right? So,
yeah.
Just building motivation to get started for your goal is important, and that requires. I guess in the corporate world, they talk about setting a goal, right? Setting a SMART goal, right? So
goal.
You need a small, achievable goal, whether it's
measurable and exactly timely,
all of that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's really easy to set a hard goal like, I want a six-pack by the summer because I'm going to go on vacation to, Cancun. I want to look good. That is a very difficult goal.
It is.
And it's a vague goal too. It's not articulate. It's not precise. Yeah, I have set this goal for myself plenty of times, and I have failed plenty of times.
Yeah.
So
how do we fix this? How do we make it a reality?
It's well. Have you read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear?
I think I have it queued up. I haven't had a chance to listen to it.
Okay,
but yes.
So the gist of his book is that consistency is key, and you should be looking to do something every day, and it doesn't need to be a lot. The whole point that he made was it's kind of like money. If you invest and you earn 1% every single day, 1% is not a lot, right? Like it could be 10 minutes or 20 minutes of your day. It will build over time, and your rate of return on that will be gigantic after 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year.
Compound interest.
Yeah. And so, if you're trying to figure out like, what do I need to do? How do I get started? Well, just get up and start walking.
You're right. Those baby steps, especially just getting started. Just get your shoes on.
Just
leave
walk.
Some nice clothes by the stairs and where you got to go, right? And then just encourage yourself to take that step. I remember hearing a story about Michael Phelps, right? And he was talking about his drive to really become an Olympian and to be a champion, right? And there were definitely days where he just didn't want to do it, right? And he knew he had to do it. And often it would be just get it started, do a little bit. And if you really want to quit, then go ahead and quit. But then he realized, hey, I'm already in the pool. I'm already doing the workout. I might as well finish it off, And I think one of the things hard for me, especially with sleep, because I think why it resonated more recently with that vacation was because you can kind of feel how good it feels, where you don't feel as bad. But for me, where I really struggle with a lot of my motivation is like you said, I need to be able to visualize it. That visualization is almost, I feel like I actually literally need a physical reminder. I have, some friends, one of my good friends has his favorite quote from the Rocky movie. And he has that, in a poster form that he could see every day as he passes. And I actually want to go find some quotes like that as well. To try and print, because how do you visualize good sleep? Oh yeah, you'll just feel good, Is that a compelling enough story? But then when I'm really tired and I'm really just doom scrolling on my phone, that sure feels nice as well, That extra cookie, that tub of ice cream,
little dopamine hits.
That little dopamine, the brain is real smart, really knows how to get under my skin to figure out what I really want right now. but you have to find a way to create that carrot
Mm-hmm.
to motivate you to remind yourself, right? And some of those little tricks also is create a little bit of friction, right? So for sleep, what I've identified personally on why I'm not getting the 7.5 hours, right, is because I find myself too often at night left to my own devices and I don't have the control.
Yeah.
Now, what I have identified as a potential solution is my wonderful wife. She is the opposite of me. She knows how valuable sleep is, and she will go to bed on time. Sometimes she procrastinates. Sometimes she'll get hooked on some anime or TV shows, right? But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, she'll be much more responsible than I, even though I have an alarm for this that I have set years ago. It rings at 10:30, and I snooze it immediately, and I turn it off, right? I even have my phone alerts where it turns into sleep mode at 11:30. Everything turns gray, and I delay, and I say, hey, it's not bedtime yet, and I
Yeah.
continue to doom scroll. So the tangible solution that I'm, again, committing to is removing and encouraging my family to stop watching YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
I realize it is detrimental to my attention span. Am I really gaining a lot out of it? Sometimes I do. There are a few things that I feel like might be worth it. One of the most popular YouTube shorts, which I know you're really not a fan of YouTube shorts, but one of the most famous and popular ones is the Career Ladder. They talk about a lot of different careers and interesting ideas of what people do for jobs. I love to show it to my kids, right? To get them thinking about what they want to be when they grow up, right? But beyond that, I watch some, funny cat videos and this and that. And before you know it, it's 1 a.m. And I've completely blown through my sleep curfew.
Yeah.
So,
I don't hate YouTube Shorts. I think it's extremely entertaining, and I've occasionally browsed it. However, I get how damaging it can be. Just it can suck you in so quickly.
Yeah.
Within 20, 30 minutes, you've watched like a couple
How
of
many?
shorts. I don't even know.
And then I ask you, what did you just watch? You have zero idea.
No, yeah.
Your brain has completely turned off. It is pure dopamine.
Yes. Same with TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. The irony is someone mentioned it to me recently. Wow, it's so funny that you watch YouTube shorts. Yet those YouTube shorts are probably repurposed TikToks. And I said, you're probably right. But I know I won't install TikTok. I need to uninstall Instagram Live. I actually, used to look at it every once in a while, but then I knew how bad it was and how addicting. It was almost scary.
Yeah.
That I was catching myself watching Instagram Live like, wow, this is hitting so hard that I literally need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where it's just that addicting. It's fascinating how smart they know the human mind, and they know how to incentivize you to move to scroll to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible.
Part of it is what your feed is, who you're subscribed to too, right? And
yeah, it's true.
YouTube Shorts can provide a little dose of dopamine and be beneficial to you as well, provided that, how clean your feed is in terms of what people you watch that are maybe, say, more educational, you're learning stuff, or you're pushing yourself forward versus, like cat videos. Like my vice would be like shorts of like comedy skits, like Dave Chappelle and all those people,
true.
Right? I think they're hilarious. But they're also, it's dangerous to just sit there and watch them. I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, maybe we should just watch a show instead. Watch
true.
the whole comedy show.
I have shows and movies that I've been wanting to watch, but then it's like, but it's like 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I doom scrolled for an hour. I could have absolutely done something more productive and watched.
Oh, yeah.
So then what I think it leads to also, especially with the kids nowadays, is the good old term of brain rot. My goodness. It's even crazier when my son, so he's in elementary school, he's going to be moving into middle school soon. And he's self-aware enough to call out that one of the other boys we met, wow, he really doesn't have brain rot. I said, that's pretty interesting that you're aware enough to say that you've observed that is a normal child that doesn't have brain rot. You know why? I don't think they watch all this stuff, right? Their mom is a teacher, and they probably know better,
Yeah.
And but it's hard, right? I feel like, especially as parents nowadays, both of us are techie, both of us are interested in games, and we know the dangers of a lot of stuff, but um it's really, I feel bad for parents that might not be that in tune with technology. I know we grew up with this, right? We
Yeah.
were into computers and gaming, the good old PC, even though nowadays a lot of people are all moving to Macs and things like that. But having grown up with that, we're also that much more paranoid, I think,
Oh
about
yeah.
the potential risks and dangers, right? It's only recently that I even allowed, in order to just let my kids play games, that I didn't want to enable any networking, any chat, any communications from other people, right? Because you just never know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? It's scary. You can't control it, you know? And
The problem, with like all the technology today, and it's all designed to distract you, and they're, what are they called, dark patterns, to keep
yeah,
you locked into their platforms and just waste your time and try to get you to spend money.
yeah,
And it goes back to, like, your health and sleep, and your motivations for change. And it doesn't also, like, your motivation, your resolution doesn't have to be health or fitness either, which is
yeah,
common. Like, it can be, as you said, like, let's watch less social media, less, let's look at
yeah.
doing
Sm-
things outside, go outside.
Smaller achievable goals. I
Yeah.
agree,
Touch
right?
grass, right?
Kind of hard right now. It is a little cold outside, but yeah, absolutely. But there are other ways that you can figure out how to keep yourself mobile, finding entertaining new things to do, right? I know
Yeah.
for both of us, my boys are a little bit older, so we've been trying to find games to play, and things that, again, you don't even need to use the digital screen. You know,
Yeah.
we have tons of dice. We start playing with the dice. We started getting into, collecting some Pokemon cards. I also recently got back into Magic cards, and there's a huge assortment of stuff, and I'm very happy that, actually, probably a lot of through encouragement from you and your wife too, is just going to the library more often, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me, which you helped point out, was that it's not so much that I hate reading. I just hate reading boring stuff, you know? And
Yeah.
it's great for kids nowadays because there are so many graphic novels and things that kids could read that they
Mhm.
can really hopefully find something that resonates with them,
Oh
right?
yeah.
All variety of topics, all sorts of things. And of course, all the things that I think is interesting, and the kids just, scoff at it and just move right on, you know? But yeah, just finding all those things, and even beyond that. So kind of going back, I don't know how we got here, but but back to sleep. Actually, you actually muted yourself by accident.
Oop,
Heads up.
there we go. I was gonna say
Yeah.
libraries are awesome. There's so many, like, cool things, events. They're cheap.
Yeah.
You meet people there.
They're warm or cold, right? They
Yeah.
actually, I don't have to spend all this money on electricity, which has been crazy, and it's a great place to even potentially meet some people, of
Yeah.
like-minded that are interested in stuff, and it's a fantastic place to be, right?
Yeah. Our library is attached to the community center.
Oh, that's cool.
So we like, there's different events at the library or the community center, and basically a lot of people just go there and hang out.
Yeah.
And they have classes and gym classes. Like, we signed our son up for a hip hop dance class just because, why not?
Nice.
Just try it
Yeah.
out. You like it, you like it. If you don't like it, don't go. It's
Yeah.
like $20. Yeah, you really can't beat that. The value is just insane with public services. So I would definitely encourage people to, like, look at the things you like to do, and if it has movement or something that coincides with your goal, like, go for it. Like, if you want to lose weight and you like dance, take a dance class.
Yeah.
Dance
I think you're
is
right.
crazy
That
good
is
cardio.
that is something important with some of these goals that you're setting, right? I forget who said it, and they were basically saying that, um, it's important that if you find a job that you enjoy doing, it feels like you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
So I think what's important is finding ways to make these goals more inherently fun, right? So to
Hmm.
your point, something that I try to encourage myself, for sleeping earlier, is just going to bed and spending more time with my wife.
Yeah.
Right? The day flies by. You go through and just kind of go through the usual routines, but then you realize it's just exhausting. by the end of the day, you're just out of energy. You maybe worked out, maybe made healthy or unhealthy food choices, but then at the end of the day, it's important to communicate. It's important to bond
Yeah.
and to just kind of reflect, and just if you're a physical touch love language person, just cuddling up and spending time together, or just talking, or even just being together in the room,
Yep. Watch a
doing your own
movie,
things,
do
watching a
something.
movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. Could really bring you closer together, So that has been sort of my incentive to try and get to bed earlier. And I've asked my wife, I said, "Hey, look, I know I struggle. This happens all the time." And this is a
Hmm.
saying that my trainer has brought up to me, especially most recently, for some shoulder pains that I'm dealing with. She said, "Consistency is more important than intensity." you
Yeah.
know and it resonates, and it's funny because as she said that, one of the YouTube shorts of a yoga practitioner that I follow posted a video about it. So apparently it's timely.
Mm.
Everyone seems to be having the same problems. It's that time of year, everyone's starting something new, and like you said, that motivation is fizzling out. And how do I keep consistent you
Yeah.
know so try and reduce. If it's something positive that you want to do, try and remove the friction. And if it's something unhealthy, then increase the friction. You know, I know
Yeah.
you've mentioned to me that there's tons of snacks and things. We were actually kind of comparing notes. It's like, man, why do I keep eating snacks? And then I reflected, we have literally a pile of snacks on our living room table, right? And you wonder why. Munch, munch, munch,
Yeah.
and it's getting ready for dinner time, and the kids didn't eat their lunch properly. And we're about to eat dinner, and they say, "Ooh, a banana. Oh, a cookie. Oh,
Yeah.
this and that." And then they eat it. Oh, I want a string cheese. I want some yogurt. And then we go and look. I said, "How are you possibly going to be ready to eat dinner?"
Yeah.
And they sit down and they say,
I'm
I
not
don't,
hungry.
I'm not hungry. I wonder why,
And then
you
as a
know?
parent, you get upset because it's like, why aren't you eating dinner? It's supposed to be family
Yeah.
time.
And we
Nope.
spend time to make the meal, to
Self.
prep the meal,
Yep.
and all they ate were a bunch of snacks,
And we self
you know?
sabotage. We sabotage them.
100%.
Then we get mad at them.
And it's a
It's
vicious
a
cycle.
vicious cycle that solves nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So taking a lot of these little things, right? Setting the goal. Again, that's kind of my goal. Have you thought about any particular sleep goals, or has your sleep motivation been on par recently?
My sleep is it's interesting where like I know I'm tired. And lately what I've been doing is I'll put in an earbud and set an audiobook to play, but I'll
Mm.
set a sleep timer. So like stop
Oh, that's
playing
smart.
after the end of the chapter because I'll always fall asleep. But
Mm.
sometimes like maybe it
If
was
it's that engrossing,
if
you might be.
engaging, yeah. So
Yeah.
yesterday that was a problem for me yesterday actually, where I was listening. It was a really good part in the book. I kept pushing the sleep timer off. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And, I've listened to the book for 3 hours from
I
10,
might as well
10 to
listen a little
1.
more for that extra chapter.
Yeah. One of the things that my goal was like at the first major yawn, like, sometimes you yawn,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not like completely tired, but then sometimes you yawn and it's like, man, I'm tired. Like I'm going to drop my phone because I'm so tired. Like that kind of yawn is like I'm trying to make
That's
that
the
my
sign.
signal, my sign, like, yeah,
Mm.
you should put this away and go to bed. And that seems to be helping me a little bit.
At that point, you must be. It's kind of like being thirsty, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm actually curious. I think that's a great idea. I think the good thing about your maybe unhealthy habit is that you're not, at least not looking at the screen. So it's, someone I was talking to recently kind of mentioned, we learned about, I brought up the idea and something I read about Cocomelon,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was talking about how detrimental this was to kids. It was essentially a show, for those that aren't aware. It was top of the charts for Netflix, one of the most, streamed videos. And what it essentially is it's these children's music videos where they're super colorful and constant motion, and the scenes cut pretty much every few seconds. And you
Ooh.
don't really realize it, but the reason why kids kind of turn into zombies with it is because they're being overloaded with just dopamine and things that are happening. Who wouldn't want to watch it, right? As
Yeah.
an adult, it's like, wow, this is almost jarring. This is too much. But for a child's brain that's not developed enough to be able to distinguish that this is potentially harmful for them, they're just immediately addicted to it, you know?
Yeah.
And what was interesting about that was, the person said, hey, have you thought about it that maybe at night you kind of, remove some of the color? And I said, that's funny. My phone already does that. And I'm immediately unhappy about it and turn the color back on. But you're absolutely right. I have these things, these settings that are encouraging me to be healthy, yet I still can't do it, So
Yeah.
then the next step, again, part of it is I know all the tips, I know all the tricks, but am I willing to do it, right? The real answer is I should just remove my phone. I
Mm.
should put my phone in a different place, like a different room. Because I know I think, talked about this too. Hey, can't stop eating those snacks. Well, then don't have the snacks in the house.
Yeah.
If you have to physically have it, go put it in the garage. Are you really going to go out into the cold, into the garage to go get your snack?
You're
Even I was,
you're gonna really you're gonna really want them if you want
you
to.
gotta really want them,
Yeah.
And I was just watching a video about sugar. So fortunately for me, I'm more of a salty and like kind of crispy type of snacks person, less about sugar. But this particular person who made the content about it was saying, try and find some ways to really enjoy it. If you're going to, then enjoy it. But if it's really just because our brains crave it, right?
Mhm.
Our brains know that we want it. Especially if I'm working hard, I'm really trying to solve a complex problem for work, right? I immediately reach for something to just give me that sugar craving,
Yeah.
But then the reality is, what this person was saying is, yes, your brain is doing that, but that feeling is often fleeting, right?
Yeah.
So for healthy eating, if you know it's there, just try to delay a little bit. Try and change the environment, move around, move your body, drink some water, and you may realize that that craving is suddenly gone,
Hmm.
Now, unfortunately, again, it's quite the opposite for sleep. It's not quite a craving. It's kind of this, we just don't want to go to bed,
Yeah.
Because then that's why it's so hard for me to visualize, How do I visualize sleep? I just close my eyes and that's it. I kind
Right.
of lose this time. I lost out all that time where I could have been having fun and doing things,
Yeah.
That's kind of my biggest struggle.
Um. Yeah. With I've noticed, like, with trying to, like, when you get that first real tired yawn, like, you want to, your body's saying, like, please let me go to sleep. I am exhausted. Your brain is saying, I am so tired. Let's go to sleep. And you just want to keep scrolling and scrolling. But maybe that's a good uh indicator, like, hey, like, maybe we should try it. And one thing I will say is, you've been, as a person who is trying to set a goal, who is not able to, think about the fact that you've been trying all this time to set a goal and you can't get there. um this applies in general, but why not give it a month? Why not give it a couple of days and
Mm,
just see if it works?
yeah.
And if it doesn't work, you already know what you're going to go back to, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So, if you want to go to bed at 10:30, like, hey, why not try it? Like, you are not losing anything by trying it.
Somewhat motivating. I try. I
It's
think I
difficult.
have tried. It's so difficult, but yes. So, ironically, keeping an eye on time, um, we're going to try and bring back a segment that we're going to try and go into, which is called the rabbit hole. And we're both going to kind of share what was something that we kind of focused on and quickly kind of dig into that we maybe spent a little bit too much time researching this week,
Oh,
right?
okay.
I'll
Yes.
kind of let you go into it first. Anything that you realized, oh, that was a big tangent that
Yeah.
became a major topic.
So last year I signed up for a triathlon, and I'm not a person who does triathlons or, like, bikes or runs or swim. I don't even know how to swim, right? I signed up for,
Which is
like,
a crazy idea.
yeah. So that was the impetus for signing up, right? I want to learn how to swim. Um, I do some occasional, like, stationary biking, and I can run, but I'm not like a avid runner or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I decided, like, I'm going to learn how to swim, so I started watching YouTube videos. Last year took some lessons, and then I got hurt, and then I got sick, COVID, flu, kids got sick, etc., holidays. So then, starting this year, I was like, okay, like, I need to get to swim, because I'm staring at my wife and I'm like, this race is in July. I don't know how to swim yet. I'm going to
And we're
drown.
at the end of January.
I'm going to drown.
That is quite an incentive.
Yes. So I started watching doing a lot of research on like how to swim, finding lessons, where can I go? So it turns out like, hey, I can go to my local high school. I can practice swimming there in the evening for like 30 minutes to an hour. So I started, researching like techniques and watching YouTube videos and watching shorts, and my YouTube short changed to all different swimming YouTubers and stuff. And I just went down a rabbit hole of like different techniques. You're like, how do you do your pull and catch and your breathing patterns and kick patterns? And it's so interesting. I think it's a very important skill that everyone should have on how to swim. But it all came back to today, which was actually right before this podcast. Like I was able to string together actually swimming with strokes, kicking, and trying to breathe on both sides. And I was able to make it from one end of the pool to the other. It was like a 25-meter pool. You go down a rabbit hole and you learn stuff, but the most important thing is to take away what you've learned and apply it, right? And so what I've realized is like, hey, I'm going to focus on one thing. Like today was just making sure when I turn my head to breathe that I'm not sinking, because I would stop kicking and my arm would bend and then I would sink, and when I would turn to breathe I would just get a mouthful of water. So it's been a rabbit hole to dive down into it and learn swimming, but it's been extremely entertaining and fun, and I hope to be able to swim in July.
I hope so too. I hope you're not bringing a little donut.
1,500 meters. Yeah. If I bring a donut, there's like these special things you can wear on your legs, and if they inflate, you're disqualified. But it's better than drowning, right? So that is my rabbit hole. How about you?
An incredible testament to you. That is quite a lofty goal. I remember hearing someone say that, how can you tell if your goal is big enough? If you have someone that comes to you and their immediate response is, you are crazy, then you know the goal is something real and something that's important to try and achieve.
Yes.
So incredible work. Really proud of you, and I'm supportive of you, to be able to hit that goal. But so for me, this past week has been fun with technology. My kids have been playing more Minecraft, and they wanted to start their own server. They had done their own local servers, but now they wanted to play with their friends. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, it started unraveling all the Xbox settings, the online settings, the this and that Windows settings, all the protections I put in place. I now had to I bought a new router, so I had to go work through all the router settings, the port forwarding, opening different ports and connecting people, checking the IP addresses, and it was just a rabbit hole. It was many days. We're still actually not done, but what I wanted to turn this into a lesson with my kids, because what I realized is that my kids, they constantly remind me, hey, is it done yet? Hey, is it done yet? Hey, is it done yet? And I said, you know what? You're going to learn. Dad's not going to take care of all this by himself. Now, I did actually have to figure it out myself just to make sure I didn't get catastrophically stuck. But I showed my son and said, you know what? You're going to do this with me. And I'm going to show you I don't know all the answers. So I was teaching him. I said, look, if you really want to figure out how to do this, we're going to pull open AI. We're going to ask you some questions. We're going to learn how to prompt and figure out and explain why we're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, the server didn't detect his username. We couldn't figure out why. Then we were trying to figure out how come you can suddenly connect, but then you get kicked out. All of a sudden, he couldn't, open his console to be able to type his commands, right? And we were figuring out little, side tricks and this and that. And I was trying to show him that, hey, once upon a time, me and Uncle Zambies, this is what we used to do. There was no AI that gave you the answer. You had to struggle and figure out all those Windows settings, those other options. You're configuring, properties files and INI files and things, right? And you did there, So that is what I spent the week trying to figure out. And again, we're still not even done, but I found a way to try and turn that into a learning lesson with the kids.
Yeah, that's cool to be able to turn it into a lesson. My kids are younger, but when they get a little bit older, I want to be able to
I'm sure our kids will be playing games together.
Oh, for sure. And I want them to be able to figure it out on their own. You want to mod your game, go ahead and go figure it out. ask me questions that, AI is a huge topic we will definitely talk about, but there's some benefits to it with,
Yeah.
proper use and
And
precautions.
also some detriments, because yes, then you could start to, like you said, it's going to be a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah. So one other check that we wanted to kind of come up with, given the name of our podcast is the Endless Tangents, is how did we get here? So
Oh,
Mr. Zambies, how do you think we did about staying on track and on course?
God. In terms of what we decided to talk about, which was like goal setting and staying fit, like, yeah, we definitely mentioned it. So like we get like 1 point from mentioning
All
it,
right.
but we
I'll take the 1 point.
definitely went off on some random tangents, just even discussing like, sleep procrastination and different conditions and talking about our kids and,
Yeah, building
um,
habits, I think is really important, right? About
mm,
the usefulness of your audiobooks and,
yeah,
but again, goal setting and visualizing, even more things I
visualizing.
would love to
Yeah.
talk about. Each of these could probably be a topic in it itself,
Oh, yeah.
right? And we hope the listeners kind of stay tuned and yeah,
Brain
very proud
rot,
of ourselves. Brain rot. I mean,
libraries.
that is definitely stories, that we can go into.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, in terms of goal setting, this was a major goal of not this year, of last year.
It, it,
But
we
to
were
be
so
fair,
close.
we were so close. And we also wanted to take this seriously. We did a lot of prep, we did a lot of our homework, and we figured it was time to rip off the Band-Aid. But I wouldn't do this to anybody else but you. I really appreciate spending the time with you, man.
Likewise.
And yeah, congrats to us. We finished our first episode, and stay tuned. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
All
And
right, have a
yeah,
great
we'll
one.
we'll figure it out together,
Absolutely.
huh?
Take care, man.
Later.